Hello and welcome to the Rest is Football question and answer episode with Alan Shearer, Micah Richards and me, Gary Lineker. As it's an international break, we thought we'd mainly focus on England's qualifying and any questions possibly around the qualifying stage. Let's start with Sam. Who were you surprised to see in the squad and what would you change?
I was surprised to see Dan Burn in the squad. But when you look at his performances and everything else and his performances at the weekend in the cup final.
I think you've just broken your record for mentioning a Newcastle player or Newcastle at the start of the podcast. I think you've just beaten your previous record, I think was 5 seconds. I think you got it down to 2.54 seconds.
Yeah, I made no apologies for that, his performance at the weekend. But yeah, he was a surprise in it, as was Jordan Henderson.
Yeah, I would have said Henderson as well. Maybe Rashford as well. I think the fact that he's played really well at Villa, it looks a lot more confident. But I thought it was going to be too soon for him. But yeah, Rashford and Henderson. I'm delighted for Rashford. Henderson, I think when they was doing all the media interviews, he said he was in there for his experience and his communication within the dressing room, which I find is a little bit weird, but yeah, those were the two for me.
Well, include him in your coaching staff, maybe, or something like that. But I mean, it's an odd one. I feel a little bit bad for Jordan actually, because it's very important to say that he's played many really great games for England. Yeah. He's had a fabulous career, and because of circumstances, I think moving to Saudi didn't happen there, and then Gareth had him around and then left him out at the end, and then he's kind of reopened that can of worms, if you like, for Jordan Henderson himself, because you don't want him to end up as a player that's disrespected.
No, not
that
at all.
Would be a real shame. But I think what it is there's a perception, I think, that it's almost semi-retirement when you move to a league like Saudi Arabia's league, with all due respect to it, and the same, if it was the American league or wherever it may be in the world, Japan, China, anywhere. So I think that's possibly it. So I think it'd be a great shame, because he's a really good guy to have around, and I think that's probably why Thomas Tuchel has put him in, because he's obviously very popular, I'd imagine, amongst the players.
Yeah, but just quickly before I move on, that's all well and good, but is he going to be available for the World Cup, If someone else is going to be in that position around that time, what we're talking, 18 months to the World Cup?
17 months.
17 months to the World Cup. It's like, are you going to get Henderson in the same shape he's in now? And I just think it's an opportunity to give a young player a little bit of experience, that's all.
I would say about Thomas Tuchel that he is going to pick a squad for the up-and-coming games, and I think he'll do that right the way through, and he doesn't give a whatever damn about what happens to England after 18 months' time.
Correct.
He is only interested in trying to win the World Cup for England. That's his job. That's his contract.
And if he pulls it off, the whole lot of us won't give a damn about anything else ever.
Absolutely correct. Yeah. And his mindset is he's picking a squad for this month, for these games, and if he has to change it next month, then he'll do that. But I mean, that squad that came out is not going to be the squad that goes to the World Cup, is it? So, and I think he understands that himself as well. He's an experienced guy, he's a successful guy, and that's his job. That's what he's signed for. He doesn't care about anything else.
Who of the players that are fit? It's sort of the same question as Sam's. Who are the players that are fit that you think were unlucky not to get into the squad? I think we talked about Gibbs White, but we talked about him on Saturday night, Alan, didn't we? We all said he was unlucky to get in the squad. And next day, what happens, Al?
I know, yeah.
Gets a call up.
Yeah, he deserves it, to be honest. He's a very good player. He's having a great season. He's played a big part in what Nottingham Forest are doing this year. And it's his chance now to make an impact, yeah.
Yeah, we've spoke about Delap, hasn't he? He was down with the 21s. I thought he might just get a little nod. He's got a big future ahead of him. But I understand why. But, I thought he'd be in. He's in good form as well, isn't he?
Anderson at Forest?
I wasn't so surprised that he wasn't in the squad, although he is having a very good season again, as plenty of them are in that Forest team. But his time will come if he keeps on playing really well. And that's the beauty. If you were as a player hurt by not being in the squad, then that's fine. Then you've got the opportunity to keep on going and make sure you get in the next one.
Luke Jenkins. Do Alan and Gary wish they had more games against teams like San Marino?
Yes, is the answer.
Well, it would have been handy for our goals per game ratio.
Well, hold on. This is what you old boys do every round. I mean, there must have been some rubbish games back then. Come on.
There was a few, but there was a couple. But I mean, let's look at England's next two: Latvia and Albania.
Micah, do you want to have a little look down the list of the games that I think
I'm going to get them up. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Apart from a friendly in Malaysia, I cannot think of any time we ever played a team that was, anything like San Marino, Gibraltar, Liechtenstein, Luxembourg.
Nothing the matter with Luxembourg, by the way. I scored a hat-trick against Luxembourg.
Well, there you go. That's your only hat-trick as well. It says it all, Al.
I think it was Luxembourg, wasn't it? Yeah, I think so.
Let me see the teams that you played.
You'll see a few games against Argentina, a few against Brazil, a few against Germany, a couple against the Dutch.
Hungary, what were they like back then?
Hungary, they were pretty decent.
Pretty decent. New Zealand.
That was a friendly.
Are we just talking qualifiers, are we?
Well, I'd said to you Malaysia, New Zealand would be the other one. But I will say that we went on that tour. We went to Australia. We played against Australia the day after we arrived with the worst jet lag. I could not put one leg in front of the other. And then we played 2 days later against New Zealand. I think I scored the winner in the 94th minute.
You're not putting up a good argument here, Micah.
I mean, Albania, Poland.
Albania's a perfectly respectable. Poland's a good football country.
I'm not saying they're not a good football country.
You comparing Poland with San Marino and Gibraltar. Those teams were not allowed to play in those days.
Okay, I'll let you off. Who was CIS?
Russia, isn't it?
Was it Russia? Was it?
Oh yeah, Football Federation of the Soviet.
Yeah, that's right.
Soviet Union. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was all of Russia as well, before all the states broke up into, what it is now. So that's what's happened, you see. You've got the Balkan states that have broken up. That used to be just Yugoslavia, and that was a really tough opposition. You've got the breakup of the old Soviet Union, where you've got lots of way smaller countries. And and it's fine, but it is a point. It is a fair point that we made. And we obviously, I don't know whether players, do you really want to play against, I mean, I understand why they're in these qualifying groups, but there are not many great games to look forward to in qualifiers nowadays. Whereas when we played, most of the qualifiers were really competitive, and that's why you get up for it.
You're getting a fucking geography lesson as well, by the way. He's learning more on today's pod than he ever did at school.
Back in my day, oh dear.
That was my. Well, how else do I phrase it? How else do I phrase it?
I think you won that battle, Gaz. I'll give you that one.
Here's a slightly negative question for Alan from Olenji. If England get knocked out early, will Alan support Sweden for Isak?
Isak can do whatever he wants. I'm never ever saying a bad word against him. Ever. Mind you, I don't think I have anyway, but...
What if he leaves?
Oh, you have to spoil a good afternoon, don't you? We're having a lovely afternoon. He's not leaving. Why? There is no a bigger club he could go to than Newcastle. Why would he leave Newcastle?
Yeah. I heard Man City and Arsenal are after him.
And Liverpool.
They couldn't afford... They'd have to sell their grounds to afford him. They couldn't afford him.
Hey, what we need now, you need to get a little video message for us from Isak saying, I'm not leaving. Okay, chaps, before we go to a break, Guinness, our lovely sponsors, have a saying. Good things come to those who wait. And I think we can all agree a beautiful pint of the black stuff is definitely worth waiting for. But this got us thinking. Speaking of waiting for good things, Alan, could you think of anything in recent times that...
70 years. It's well worth the wait.
To be honest, you only waited for 54 years of them.
That is very true, yes. That is very true, yeah. It came to us in the end. We waited a long time, but we got there in the end. Newcastle. Carabao Cup winners.
How was it as a family doing that together? Because obviously you were with your daughter Chloe and your son Will, but they've not had to wait quite as long as you.
Yeah, we were all there shouting and screaming. It just meant everything having them there. So having that experience with those there, I mean, they've been through frustrating times with me, particularly the two girls, and coming back from Wembley and being really miserable after cup final defeats, and to sample that with them there at Wembley was amazing.
You love being miserable as well, don't you, Al? Finally, you can be happy all the time. You can't be miserable again. You've been in a group chat, you've been texting away, sending pictures, sending videos.
Micah, you wait till they go a goal down in the next game. It'll be the mood swings of football. That's what it does to you as a sport, though. And you can say, I'll never care again about anything, but believe you me, you will. Because I said the same thing after that, having to wait for Leicester to win the league, which they'd never done in their 132-year history, in 2016. And it was the same thing. And you think, oh, that's it. I'm fulfilled. I'm happy forever. And now I'm miserable as sin again, like it used to be. But it reminds you, what happens is when it doesn't go well, it reminds you of how good the great moments are and how you've got to embrace them and enjoy them.
Of course you have.
Absolutely.
And you two are talking about your teams. But what about winning the league yourself in 2012 for 44 years? Big Meek's part of that team. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
Love it, Micah.
All right. Yeah. Well, there you have it. Good things come to those who wait. So next time you're waiting for your pint of Guinness, just remember how amazing it's going to taste when you get it. I'll have a little sip.
Cheers.
Cheers. 18 plus, please drink responsibly. For the facts, visit drinkaware.co.uk. Will Salisbury, would a prime Lineker, Shearer and Micah, you get first name terms, you do, Micah, make it into the team?
What, the current England team?
100%.
Yeah, cool. I'm getting into that team, absolutely.
I'm up against Trent, Kyle Walker, Reece James, Trippier. Not a chance.
Hey, you prime though, Michael, when you burst onto the scene.
Not even in my prime. Trent and Kyle Walker, not a chance. Not a chance. Maybe Kyle Walker at Spurs, but not when he came to Man City. He's a different beast now.
I've got one from Gaines. This is slightly ludicrous, right? You can only take 3. Listen closely. Palmer, Saka, Foden, Bowen, Maddison, Elliott, Eze, Bellingham, Rodgers, Gibbs-White.
Hold on, do you want to go a bit quicker? Jesus.
Quicker, okay. Palmer, Saka, Foden, Bowen, Maddison, Elliott, Eze, Bellingham, Rodgers, Gibbs-White. Is that quick enough for you?
Saka, Bellingham, Rodgers.
Ooh, Rodgers ahead of...
Yeah, what a season. What a player, man.
Yeah, everyone in the world will go Bellingham. And I think Saka, I think it's just between... I would go Foden or Palmer for the other one. I'll go Palmer at the moment. Well, they both had a little bit of a dip, haven't they? Palmer only marginally, but feels, not been quite the same this season because he's playing a team that's struggling, but he'll bounce back. They're all great players. But yeah, okay, Palmer's the other one. Micah?
Because you've gone Palmer, I'd go Foden. Saka, Bellingham, Foden.
Okay. Kale, with a C, asks... What is your starting 11? Here we go again. Here we go. We've done this a minute. The thing is, we have no idea, do we, what Tuchel is thinking. So it's very difficult. What's the point of us picking our starting 11 at the moment? Is it our starting 11 from the squad that he's picked? Is it a squad? Is it our starting 11 players that perhaps are unavailable for injury? Because people like, obviously, Saka, Trent Alexander-Arnold would, be probably in the side. So I'll tell you what, let's discuss what system do we think he'll play? I think listing 11 players each would be...
You think he'll go 3 at the back?
I don't know. That's what I was going to ask. Do you think? I was going to ask the same question. I suspect not, because not many of the players play that way at the club level, do you? So do you want to play something completely different to the play at club level?
I was going to say that myself.
Yeah. He has played that way, but he's played both ways.
He's played both, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I think 4.
My guess is he'll go in with 4, yeah.
Yeah, the more traditional, like the 4-3-3, do you think?
To be honest, lads, it doesn't really matter what system he plays against these two teams. He plays He plays one at the back, we still should win.
Well, of course, England. I mean, crack, if he loses these two, I'm sure it'd be fine. William M. Which team will have the biggest improvement from the last tournament? So we're still on international. So the last tournament was the Euros. So I don't know. I think Germany will kick on. I mean, they had home advantage, and they played pretty well at times in that tournament. And they've been through a bit of a lull for the Germans, so I expect. And France can't be as bad as that again. With the players they've got. I mean, they were so poor in that tournament for considering the talent they have.
That's why I was going to say France. Yeah.
Do you know what it is, though? It's going to be for England to go over to this World Cup and win it is going to be a huge ask because of the climate, the atmosphere, and everything else. You know, it's going to be a big ask for Thomas Tuchel to have that team and go on and win that World Cup. It really is, isn't it?
It's always a big ask. It's always a big ask, but it's obviously harder when it's on a different continent.
Yeah, I mean, some of the conditions I guess they'll have to play in. I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing that the heat in those countries at particular places you're at is.
Well, I think pretty much all the games once it gets to the knockout in America.
Yeah, you see the heat in America. They lasted in '94.
Oh no, it's hot.
It?
Yeah, it was incredibly hot. Yeah,
was that the game
time of year
when Ireland had to stop? I mean, they were having huge problems, weren't they, when they had to go over for drinks and what have you. I think that game in New York, was it, that game?
Well, we did pretty well in Mexico. We lost obviously to the Diego punch in the net and the brilliance of him, but we went quite. But it was, I mean, the conditions there. I mean, you can't describe how hard it was. It was so hot. And the first 3 games we played in 40 odd degrees centigrade. It was just, I've never known anything like it. When we stood out before the game on the pitch, I thought, how the fuck can we play in it? It was we trained in steam baths. Bobby Robson's got us doing press ups and jump squats in a steam room in preparation in Colorado, because we also had to prepare for the altitude should we get through to the latter stages, which we did, and then we had to go up in Mexico City and play at altitude. Honestly, I can't describe how hard it was.
Madness.
But you just deal with it because you have to. But it's the same for every player in the tournament. It's not just English players.
No, but the South Americans, they play in the heat.
They don't play over here now.
They play in the heat all the time. I have to agree with that.
They all play here, Micah.
Not when they're going back to international, though. You're going back to Brazil and Argentina, and it's hot.
Yeah, they play a few more games in those conditions, and it's probably. But you can't use that as an excuse. You can't. I tell you what, I'm going to ask one last question, and this is coming from me. Can England win the World Cup? Not will they? Can they?
So early. What do you mean in terms of what though?
I'm thinking if Newcastle can win a domestic competition, then England can win a World Cup. I just want to see it in my life. I mean, I was 5 years old in '66. I have zero memory of it, and it's just gone a long time. It's a long time. I'd love to see it.
Can and will are 2 different things, I think. But I think it's a massive ask for England to go over there and play in those conditions and win the World Cup.
Of course,
I would love to see it. Obviously, I would love to see it and be bloody amazing, but I don't think they can do that.
I believe they can. I think they've got the quality that they can do it. You're absolutely right. It's a tough ask, but with the young talent that England have, are only going to get better with another 17 months. I think they'll have as good a chance as anyone, I think. That's my view. And I'm not saying they'll win it, but I think they've got a chance.
France. Oh.
Did you see how bad they were in the Euros?
I know, but they can't be that bad again. I always worry about France, but I do agree with
there's
you.
There's loads of good. Spain, they're only going to get better. How tough is Spain going to be?
Oh, Spain.
I mean, Lamine Yamal. He's going to be nearly 2 years older. Oh my God!
Do you know who's playing well though? Again, Pedri.
Pedri's been fantastic the last few weeks. Absolutely, the last few months actually.
Sensational.
Yeah. Did you see the Barcelona comeback at the weekend? 2 down against at Atletico, and then they won in 93rd minute. Lamine Yamal. Deflection, I have to say.
A little deflection. I thought, what technique has he used there? And I watched replay.
When I saw it, I thought that must have got a deflection because the keeper was static. Yeah, but great win for them. So, it's a World Cup. You play against really good teams. What a surprise.
Correct.
What a surprise. But anyway, let's qualify first.
That is a good point, actually.
Okay. We'll be back, actually. We're going to do a live stream at the end of the England game on Friday night, which will replace our Friday episode, because there doesn't seem much point doing that just before the England game. So we're going to go live at night around 10 o'clock after England finish their game, and we're going to do the same thing on Monday night for the following England international, and a bit like we did at times during the European Championship. So take note, and hopefully you'll join us for that. But for now, goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. And I'm still having a great week.